Hello out there in YouTube land.
Welcome back.
We thought we would make a bit of a how-to contour class video today.
Yeah.
We've had several people in both our Facebook group and privately ask us, how do you contour? So we thought this would be the perfect opportunity to show how we contour for pale skin.
Because that one's a bit of a challenge. You run the spectrum of challenges with contouring,
Yes.
from the incredibly pale skin to incredibly dark skin.
And it's hard finding
hard.
the right colors, especially since most companies now are trying to replace contour colors with bronzer.
Yeah, and that's a problem that we've both run into. We're not finding the cool tone browns that you really want for a contour palette.
And I haven't tried it yet, but I know that NYX has a taupe blush that a lot of pale skin people use as a contour. If you were lucky enough to nail the Catrice contour Prime and Fine when they actually had the light colors, this is a decent cool tone brown. But most recently, been using
Orb of Lights. Actually,
it's,
this is an eyeshadow palette, as you guys know.
it's the shade Cold, so it's, you know, this grayish color over here.
And for when you really want to goth out, we know that Lunatic Cosmetics has a contour palette. The price point is really expensive.
High. It's like $98.
Yeah.
And, you know, while some people can afford to spend that for a contour palette, and we understand that it's, you know, not necessarily easy to get all those colors sourced all the time. They're not a common contour color. But for most of us who have more of a mid to drugstore price range, it makes it next to impossible to get your hands on. So it's out there. If you want to save up for it, by all means. And you know, we actually haven't tried any Lunatic Cosmetics Labs items yet. I've heard they're absolutely amazing.
I've heard they're amazing. Again, the price point is not great, especially if you fall in love with a product and you want to get it again and again. You're going to be putting that amount out again and again to get it. So. And
I know that at one point they were doing like refills. You could actually buy like the little pan refills.
Right.
Except for the last time I was on the site, the gray tone that she and I would need was sold out. And I don't know when they're restocking it and all that stuff. So I think it's one of those things where you'd have to follow up on. And, you know, if you could get the individual shade and then just put it in a Z palette or something, then that would be fine.
Right, and I mean, you know, they may restock. It may just be a sign of the times.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who
so,
knows?
You know, it is what it is. We're all kind of in this undulating thing right now.
This little bit of roller coaster living nowadays, so.
Everything's new and adjustment and all that good stuff.
And playing catch up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Playing catch up a lot with products and shipping and, you know, manufacturing. So.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get into this. Now, I have a special brush that I like to use for my cheek hollow contour, which you can see I already naturally have like a pretty intense one, but this little brush was a dollar store find, and it's just the perfect like shape, you know, because it's kind of, you know, narrow, but it's kind of fluffy and stuff, and it makes it to where, you know, it gets into that hollow, but it's not too severe.
Right.
And, you know, you can use pretty much any brush that you like that you will give you, like, a similar effect.
Yeah, these have worked in the past.
And that would work,
the angled
you know.
brushes to kind of get in, you know, to follow that cheekbone.
Yes. So you know, just pretty much get what works for you, but I lucked out and found this one at the dollar store, and I'm ecstatic over it.
Which I think these are really fun brushes, but they came from AliExpress.
Yeah, they were like $4 total for an entire brush set.
So if you're eyeballing the new Black Widow brushes, these are a good alternative. Yeah,
just get those because, you know, the Black Widow brushes, they only have 4 of them. They have a powder brush, a blush brush, and 2 eye brushes, whereas the AliExpress thing, I mean, you have a big powder brush. Whoop, and I dropped it. Haha, you have a big powder brush, you have, like, all different types of eye colors, you have you know, a flat paddle foundation brush, you have a fan brush, so it's all that for like $4. So
yeah, I mean, if you're just looking for practice brushes or just fun brushes that are,
Yeah,
to have around.
absolutely. And I've washed those several times. I haven't had any problems with the bristles coming out or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, for $3-4, it's a great buy.
Which we've had problems with brushes in
We
the past.
have.
Even top-notch brushes, we've had them, I think a grand total of maybe 2-3 weeks in using them, and they started dropping their bristles, and that just really annoyed everybody.
And this is with, us being very careful to never hold the brush like that underneath water, because if you do that, it actually loosens the glue.
Yeah.
So we've lost bristles constantly, washing properly like that, and I guess it just goes to show that finding great brushes isn't necessarily a price point thing.
No, it's just luck of the draw, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. Couldn't find my mirror for a second.
I'm using the one in this one right now.
Okay, so what I usually do, because I'm so fair, is I'll tap into that gray shade. But then, I try to get the excess off, because goodness knows we don't need a lot.
No.
So then, I'll just kind of very lightly start getting it in there until there's, kind of enough of a edge to it where you can see it a little bit more, but I don't do too much, because my my cheekbones are already severe anyway. I don't need to make them, too much more than what they are. If you're somebody that has trouble finding your cheekbones, though, because I know some people have a rounder shaped face that don't have kind of the inset, then you can actually feel and find out where your cheekbone is to know where to start your contour shade.
Yes.
That's something that I was taught when I was going to makeup school, is we actually started out with sculpting our faces out of clay to learn how you would make where the bones are and the structure and everything. And you don't need to sculpt your face in clay, but you can feel underneath your tissues where all your bones in your face are.
Right. If you just feel, kind of along in here, you're going to feel your cheekbone, you're going to feel that point that comes out.
And you don't want to put the contour on top of it because you're doing it underneath. So just as long as you keep those in mind...
You kind of want it, in here.
Yeah. Just kind of angle it down. I wouldn't necessarily say toward your mouth per se, but kind of close to the same angle as the edge of your mouth.
And if you have the cheek hollow, then it's really easy to follow.
You just follow the same thing.
Now, if you are gothing out, there is a big difference in what you would be doing. So this is kind of a everyday
type of contour thing. If you wanted to go for goth, most people use black eyeshadow or something like that to contour with, or they'll use gray eyeshadow. Most people use black because then you can fade it into the white makeup really nice and give yourself that, great cadaver appearance.
Right.
And, if you're a deeper skin tone, you can still use black eyeshadow. It'll still give you, the great hollows and all that stuff. And the only thing I would do is, if I was doing makeup on someone with a deeper skin tone and doing contour, if they wanted to goth out, I'd use, some sort of really trippy highlight, like green or blue or something, and, just really make the high points of their face stand out and really give them kind of a otherworldly appearance. Because I always love the look of deep skin with funky highlight colors because they stand out so well.
Right.
Or on us, if you put ice blue, you can just, it looks like a white highlight. It doesn't look, anything.
Right. I mean, we can do it. It's just...
We have to go for, black highlight or something for it to look at this world.
We get a little ethereal in the flowery fairy type thing, and that's sometimes not what we're going for. So.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was a Wet n Wild that came out with some gorgeous black highlighter a couple of years ago on Halloween.
And Jeffree Star makes one.
Yeah, he does. It's good.
So, if you're looking for a black highlight, I think Wet n Wild still has their black one on their website on sale right now for $4 or something.
Yeah.
So it's super affordable, or if you want to go for high-end, go for the Jeffree Star one. Both are great. I mean, to be perfectly honest, the Wet n Wild one, I actually have it in my kit over here, but it is extremely pigmented. I mean, literally, that black highlighter, you only need the teeniest tiny amount, otherwise you're just making a black stripe on your face, which is kind of wild for such an inexpensive product.
But I mean, it's really good. And I've actually
Yes.
doubled it as an eyeshadow, like a highlight up here, and
Mm-hmm.
bringing stuff out. So it's really
And
nice.
then the other thing, like, because I don't really do a whole lot, like when I contour every day. But another thing a lot of people like to do is do their nose. And in the theater department, we learned how to play with contour. Like, if you wanted to make yourself look like your nose was crooked, you kind of extend the contour out to like make your like and things like that. So you can actually play with all types of things with contour. I'm not going to do that today because I don't want to walk around with a bumpy looking nose. But you can totally do that, just as long as like you're careful where you place the contour shades, and then careful how you place the highlight. If you want to do like the bumpy nose, make sure you emulate that same bump with the highlights so it looks real. Otherwise, if you do a straight highlight with the cutout, it's going to look off and weird, and people are going to be like, what the hell's on your face?
What did you do to yourself?
Yeah. So, to do nose contour, I'd recommend like a flat shading brush, something like that. You want to go with something smaller so you can just kind of get that kind of straight line thing going. I don't like to go for like super intense lines unless like I'm doing like some sort of wild like goth look with like Susie Sue inspiration or something, and like, you know, use eyeliner clear down the length of my nose or something. But you know, other than that, I think a shading brush is great for the nose because it doesn't make the line super straight and harsh. You have a little bit of fuzziness on the sides, which helps you blend it out into your nose bone. And so I just kind of follow everything down. And I like to do like little tiny like strokes. I don't do it all in one stroke because I find I get straighter lines doing the kind of jagged way to do it. And then I'll just kind of brush my brush off because I don't want to add more color. I want to blend it into what's there.
And that's something that, you know, if you have harsher lines and such, you can always conceal this. It's not a one-shot deal. You can conceal it back out.
Yeah. And you can also, you know, it's not a hard thing to go back in with, let's see here. Looking for a different brush. There we go. It's not hard to, like, if you have, like, something too harsh going on, you can go back in with, like, a light blending eyeshadow and just kind of dust that over top to make it not as dark of a contour. And you can do that with white powder. You can do that with, you know, pressed powder like you do for makeup. It just... I kind of like to go along with what I have on hand. I don't like to make it to where you always have to buy specific products to get a certain effect. Because, you know, most of us don't have an unlimited bank account.
No.
And so, you know, if you can find like a good price highlighter and a good priced eyeshadow and make those both of those things work, go for it, you know.
And some people will do this with different shades of liquid foundation or anything. You know, we use a powder form because I don't buy 5 different shades of foundation to go on my face.
Yeah.
And that's one, it's a preference because a lot of that can feel very heavy, but a lot of it, since I do have rosacea, can irritate. The more you put on your face, the more you can get very irritated. So.
And then another thing you can do if you're someone who happens to be unlucky enough to have a double chin. One of the things that's really helpful to do, even for everyday highlighter, or everyday makeup rather, is where you can see the light catching your double chin. If you put that contour shade on that, it'll make the light less likely to bounce off that and highlight that area of your face.
Right. And it's not just, you know, overweight or, you know,
some people just have a double chin.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just one of those things where genetically some people are prone to having a little bit of fat right underneath their chin. It is. And I know there's like some sort of plastic surgery injection you can get for that. But it can... No, it's actually this other stuff. It's this other medication. I forget what it's called right now, but it dissolves the fat under your chin.
I don't know if I'd trust that.
I wouldn't, because one of the side effects is it can actually paralyze all your vocal cords.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it not being able to talk ever again to get rid of a little bit of fat under my chin.
I mean, you're always everybody, each to themselves, but
yeah,
plastic surgery is not for me.
And you got to weigh the risks on any type of surgery.
Yeah.
And that type of thing, if you're willing to put up with the risk, I guess all the power to you, but I'd be afraid about it. I really would.
I've had way too many surgeries in my life. I don't need another one.
So, once you have all your contour done, that's when you can play with fun highlight.
Yeah.
Seriously. Every day, I just kind of tend to go with a champagne-y color.
I go with champagne. Sometimes I'll go with a white shimmer just around, this area of the eye.
And this one, again, is a Wet n Wild one, but it came with, their Zodiac collection.
Yeah.
And it's a good, general... It's kind of champagne-y with a little touch of, rose in it, so it's not, too outrageous or anything, but it's...
Right.
I tend to like a pop and highlight instead of, just a very, very subtle highlight. So I like the Jeffree Star stuff. I like the, stuff like this that really stands out. If you want something that's not quite as blinding... Then you can go for Hourglass. Hourglass makes a really beautiful highlight with the ambient light.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be Shop Missy and their AOA brand that has one that's also like that. It's really kind of subtle.
I think. And you can also, if you're looking at the Anastasia and Breezy, you can take that as heavy or as light as you want.
Yes.
And that's a really pretty golden shade.
So my favorite highlighting brush is actually a brush that's usually used for watercolor. And I've had this thing for eons. I can't tell you how old it is. But to me, it's perfect to do the bridge of my nose, to start the highlight on the tops of my cheeks, do my Cupid's bow and the edge right at the front of my chin. And to me, it's just a great highlighting brush.
And today I'm not really highlighting much just because I have a brighter shade of purple on my eyes. So sometimes I'll just go with more of a matte and contour and not really highlight. Other days I do.
And obviously normally you would put, if you're going to put highlight on your Cupid's bow, you do it before you'd apply your lipstick and that type of thing. Right. But I went ahead and put on lipstick to start out the video because I felt really weird being on camera without lipstick and having my eyes done.
Yeah.
But, it kind of, you got to kind of decide what your comfort zone is. And I know some people will actually do, some contouring up around their eye, above their eyebrows, and then, stretch the highlight above each eye and things like that. And on my head, that looks weird. It does not work.
It doesn't work for me.
So, again, you just kind of got to go with what looks good on you. For me, it makes me look like a cadaver. I have giant lines of, something wrong with my skull or something to do that.
With me, I tend to go with less is more. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my thing.
And to be honest, I don't contour every day. I'm not generally one to do contour. Mostly because when I'm doing my makeup every day, I have a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is.
Although nowadays I don't have a limited amount of time in the morning.
Well, that's true. That's true.
I've been practicing.
Well, what's your favorite contour product? Because we'd like to know, especially since if you have been using something that we haven't yet.
Yeah.
We're we're especially on the lookout for more cool tone brown shades because those are kind of a necessary thing. So yeah, definitely comment down below with what you have been using.
Yeah. Let us know.
And, don't forget to subscribe, and share, and all that good stuff.
All things that are good.
So, until next time.
Bye.